welcome to the Gypsy Jazz Top 10 with Chris and Brad. I'm Brad.
I'm Chris.
And today we're going to talk about our favorite Gypsy Jazz picks, and we're going to split it my top 5 versus Chris's top 5. So picks are a big deal in Gypsy Jazz, and some people spend years and years finding the right pick, and sometimes you just settle on one, or sometimes you're never happy. So we're gonna kind of review the most common picks that we found whenever we've played in festivals or played in shows and talked to people. So, we're going to help everyone make their decision about picks. All right, so Chris, can you start with your...
My number 5. Yeah, I have 5 picks that I actually used at one point. And my number 5 is a pick that I didn't see a lot. It's a Dunlop Prime Tone 477p. And they have them in different sizes. And for each size they have a round version and a pointy version.
So what do you use the round?
Yeah, this is the round version. It's the thick, the largest one of the prime tones. Yeah. And why did I choose this pick? Because it's very similar to a Wegen, which is a favorite brand. The really
Wegen,
yeah,
the Americans.
Wegen. Dutch guy, W-E-G-E-N. Yeah. And he makes the thick Gypsy Jazz picks. Yeah. But they are like $25
at least,
right? Yeah. And this one is actually like €1 or $1 or $1.50, and it's very similar.
Yeah, but it's similar.
They call it the Gypsy Jazz pick, and it feels very similar. And what I like about this pick is it has a very nice round tone, right? The tone you pull out of a guitar, it's luscious. It's warm. So why is it not higher? Why is it not on like number 1? Well, first of all, I use it for like 2-3 months, but I discovered that thick picks were not for me, and that might seem strange because there's a lot of people using thick picks. But the reason I think that thick picks are not maybe the most like modern choice is that I feel if you're really a Gypsy Jazz picker now with all the downstrokes, it's just that the thick picks, they have to skip. There's more of the pick that has to skip strings when you do 2 downstrokes in a row, right? Yeah. When you have to play, maybe you want to play. For the pick to clear these 2 strings, it's just a thicker surface, so it will slow you down.
And it also muddies everything up. It makes everything less clear.
Yeah, you start to miss notes because you want to have the speed. And even though the tone they pull out of the guitar is really nice when you play a slow melody, if you want to play fast, I have the feeling and the experience also with thick picks that they slow you down.
Yeah, and I think in Gypsy Jazz, sometimes they tend to play songs a little fast now.
Yeah, especially nowadays. But now there's one guy I know, a really good player. He uses a thick pick.
Yeah.
It's only circular. But the thing is, he's not a strict Gypsy Jazz picker. He's an alternate picker, and if you're an alternate picker, you don't have this problem. So if you're an alternate picker, you can actually have this nice tone and not be slowed down because he's really fast.
Yeah, and he's got a great tone and great sound, so it works for him. And are you super concerned if you lose it?
No. No, like you lose a Wegen pick, which can happen, and you have to spend 25. If you lose this one, you spend €1, and you can get it everywhere. So the Prime Tone 477p. So what's your number 5?
My number 5 is I don't have it with me, and that's why it's number 5, because it's actually Christiaan was the first person that told me about these picks. They're blue chip picks, which are usually very expensive. So they run anywhere between €40 to €80 or even higher. And but we're always talking about how we're so surprised how it's not really that well known in Gypsy Jazz. Julian Lodge plays with a blue chip, and it's really big in bluegrass.
Bluegrass.
So it has a really bright sound. It has like an insane attack. So you would think for Gypsy Jazz it's the perfect fit. And so that's why I really like it, because it's super bright and it has a very punchy sound, and it really cuts through everything. No matter what you're playing it's going to cut through. But the problem is that it's €40-50.
Well, I spent like 75 on mine.
Yeah, so please tell us the story about this pick, and this is exactly why it sounds great, but it's not going to be in my top 3.
I was like in the phase that I was trying to find the perfect pick because I wasn't happy with my sound so let's order one. It's like €75, €80, crazy expensive. So I got it. I was waiting for it because I ordered from the United States. And I was waiting for like 2-3 weeks, and I finally got it. And I was like, this is the magic bullet. This is like the magic thing. This is gonna make me a great player. And I started playing, and actually, I was disappointed. It sounded great, it played nice, but I wasn't sounding any better.
Yeah.
So I put it in my pocket. I went to a guitar shop to try out some guitars.
Yeah.
And I used the pick, and I walked out of the store, and I lost the pick immediately. So I had it for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I wasn't even, I was bummed out because of the money, but I wasn't even really sad because I was probably never going to use it. Because it wasn't the thing that it promised, that I thought it was going to give me.
But yeah, it's another reason why to be careful of buying expensive picks, because I lose picks like every day all the time.
Everybody does.
So we're on your number 4.
No, yeah, well, let's go to number 4s.
Alright, so now we're on number 4, and my my fourth pick would be the Guz pick. Shout out to Jorge. These are great picks, and for me, I use this pick as basically a transition pick, because I started with a Wagon, and I played that for years.
Which Wagon?
The thick one.
Okay,
it's like 3 millimeters.
The Gypsy Jazz pick.
Yeah, the Gypsy Jazz pick. And then I got these at I think Django Fest Northwest actually, and so they have the thing I liked about this is they have 3 edges, and this was at a time when I was still playing with the pointy end of a pick. But anyways, these picks they feel thick and solid enough, and they also have a little grip. Piece of rubber grip, you know, because also when I was a beginner, my pick was flying out of my hand all the time, you know, so it gave me some, and it was also indented, so I could push down in it, so I had a better grip on it, which was important to me at that time, and, you know, and I was like, oh, that's very interesting, you could play with multiple sides and they have a different sound, so I thought that was a really cool idea, and then I started kind of experimenting with the other sides, so it's not expensive either. So those reasons alone, I thought it was an amazing pick. You know?
But he makes 2 kinds. This is the thicker kind.
Yeah,
you also have the thinner kind. Did you try the thinner one?
No, that's the brown one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've only tried the black one.
Because the thin is also nice, but for rhythm, this one is much better.
Yeah.
So if you have to do both, so why isn't it higher?
Why it's not higher is because now I play, which you'll find out is that I play thinner picks. And,
higher on the list, I mean.
Yeah, higher on the list. And so this pick is still, it's too thick for my personal taste.
Yeah.
It gets a more mellow sound, but to me it's just not my style to play with a thicker pick like this.
Yes, for me it's the same. I still have the feeling that it's thinner than the Wagon, but still the thinner the better for speed. I think.
Yeah. And I mean, but it's a good quality pick, and you know that it's built well. So yeah. So what's your top 4? What's your
number 4? My number 4 is a handmade pick. It's again made by a Dutch maker. I know him by the name Jocko.
Okay.
I think his last name is De Sander. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but he has a website called djangojazz.nl, and you can order them from his website. And he sells picks in the US through Tommy Davey.
Yeah.
What's his website? It's like
Tommy Davies. DjangoGuitars.com.
DjangoGuitars.com, and he makes a lot of different kinds of picks. And the guy that turned me onto them was Moses Rosenberg, because he uses one of those picks. He loves it. He says it's the only pick that he really feels that he can get the ultimate sound and speed out of his guitar. So I had to try it, and actually he was kind enough to send me 2, and he sent me a white one and the black one. Now I have the black one here. They're very similar. One is mimicking tortoise shell.
Who's the white one? Or?
Yeah, that's the I think it's the black one. I don't really know. And the other one mimics horn.
Okay.
Like horn of an animal, and they produce a great sound, and they're very easy to play. And the thing why they're not higher is the same reason. You can actually only play really well with one side. That's the pointy end.
Yeah, that's the one that's very rounded on the sides.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Wagon bluegrass pick. You know, I have it here. It's the shape is similar. This is the Wagon bluegrass pick.
Yeah.
I think this produces a much nicer sound. But in the end, I prefer to play with the pick on the side.
Yeah.
And this just 2 rounds to really be able to produce a clear note.
Yeah, I think a lot of players play with the side of the pick as opposed to the point.
Yeah, so then it sounds really dull.
Yeah.
So in the end, with pain on my heart, because I really love the pick, I couldn't play good lead with it.
Yeah.
With the side, I mean. So with the pointy end, I could, but then it's too pointy for me.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not higher. But a great pick nevertheless. The Django Jazz pick.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's go to our number threes. Okay, so my number three is a pick that is widely known in the Gypsy Jazz community, and it's a Dunlop pick. Again, a Dunlop, but this is an even cheaper one than my number five.
That's probably the most common pick, along with Wagner.
Yeah, it's called the Dunlop Gator Grip, and there's like a dinosaur. You can see
it's a gator. It's an alligator.
That's right. That's why it's called a gator grip. It's an alligator, and this is the black one. It's 2 millimeters, and they are perfect to play on the side. You can play with a pointy end.
Yeah.
Like John plays with the pointy end, but
really?
yeah, I like the side, and they're great for rhythm. They're great for lead.
Yeah.
And they're thin. I mean, they're still 2 millimeters, but they're a lot thinner than all the other picks I've just shown. They're thin and they're small, right? It's a small, what do you call it? Small size.
Yeah.
So it fits really easy in the hands.
It's like snug.
Yeah. So there's actually two brands of these Dunlop picks. The other brand that's really popular because of Pirelli is the Delrin.
Okay, yeah.
They call it Dunlop Delrin picks. And Pirelli plays with this one. It's the 1.5, and you have also the darker one. Well, I don't have it here. It's 2 millimeters. They're very similar. I just have the feeling that the Gator Grip produces a somewhat warmer sound.
Yeah, for me, it's not even about the grip. For me, it's those are too slippery.
Oh yeah, they're slippery.
And those are I can't stand that. So it's always moving around in my hand, and I actually have to like consciously grip it more.
Yeah, these are a little bit more.
There's more to hold.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So
because if your hands are sweaty at all, and you're touching the purple pick, it's gonna usually move around too much.
Yeah. So I would advise to use this pick on the side.
Yeah.
It will give you a little bit more, a little bit of a warmer sound, and I also have the feeling that it's easier to just pull the pick through the string, especially when you're like doing rest strokes.
Yeah, for me it's much easier.
So what's your number three?
Okay, so my number three is we have a Dunlop Prime Tone. It's a 1.5 millimeters, and it's actually mimicking the blue chip that I was talking about earlier. So it's not expensive, of course, either, and these are all reasons why I like a lot of the picks that I like, is that it's really cheap, but it has an extremely bright sound. It's basically how your fifth pick was that Dunlop.
Yeah, it's also a prime tone, right? But it's a different prime tone. This is the 477p.
Yeah, exactly. How that's almost like a Wagon imitation, much cheaper. This is like a blue chip, but much cheaper. But it has a really bright punch to it, and it's really cheap. So it's I really like this pick. It's also, it has kind of like it's a little more slippery too. You know? It doesn't have as much grip as the other ones. But the only reason that it's not the pick that I use all the time, sometimes I use it, but the reason it's not the pick that I use all the time is because it's almost, to me, a little too bright.
Oh yeah.
It's not as much of a round, mellow sound.
I actually prefer this one to the blue chip.
Oh really?
Yeah, not even talking about the price. I think you buy them in packets of 3. And they're like €1.50 or $1 per pick.
Cheap,
So and the blue chip is 75 or something, and they're very similar. They look very similar.
Yeah, exactly.
They sound very similar, but then I prefer this one, even not considering
if
the
they were
price.
the same price.
I just think the sound is a little bit nicer with this one. It's a great pick. I actually almost this was my number 6.
Yeah,
this is my number 6. If I would have made the top 6, it would be my number 6.
Almost number 6.5.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to your pick.
I already think showed my number 3. We have to go to number 2s.
So now we're up to my number 2 pick, my second favorite pick that I've ever used, and it's right here. It's your previous pick, this Dunlop 2mm Gator Grip. To me, this was the pick that I used forever. It was the pick that I used the longest, and I love it for the same reasons that you love it. It's cheap, and it's actually, like, for me, the important things are the fact that it's cheap, the fact that it's not moving around when I hold it, and it's got a nice round edge that's not too round, So that for me, and it has a very nice mellow sound, and it's still a little thick actually. It's still 2 millimeters. It's not a thin pick.
No, it's not thin.
Yeah.
And it's good for both rhythm and leads too. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's versatile.
But
You can use it for anything.
Do you ever play with the pointy ends?
I do not play with the pointy end. I stopped playing with the pointy end years ago, and for me, actually, if you gave me a pick and told me to play with the pointy end, it would be the worst. It would be a disaster. I cannot play a guitar with the pointy end of a pick.
Well, that's good you said, because that will brings me to my number 2, which is a pick. Because that was my number 3, right?
Yeah.
Because my number 2 is a pick that I like just a little better than that one.
Yeah.
It's the Wegen or Wegen. Sorry, Wegen Big City 1.8 millimeter pick, made famous by Stochelo, of course, because he uses this pick.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't like it,
his favorite pick, right?
It's his favorite. Yeah, it's the only pick he will play with. I've seen him play with the Dunlop, but it's only because I gave him one to try, and I said, I kind of like it, but no. But the reason it's not my number 1 is the reason that also Stochelo has problems with this pick when they're new.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you a story. It's a funny story.
Yeah.
We played recently with Stochelo in Estonia.
Yeah.
And he always has the pick under his strings, always. So then he doesn't think about it. He walks on the stage and he just takes his pick under the strings and starts playing. So we're getting ready to play. And look at the guitar, no pick.
Yeah.
First time it ever happens. And he was looking at me like we couldn't help him. You tried to hand him the Dunlop, you remember it? I said no.
And everyone was sitting there in the audience.
Yeah. So then he went backstage and he couldn't find this pick, so he only could find he had to take a new one.
Yeah.
But the new ones for him are too pointy.
Yeah.
So it will take away something of his speed. Right? So, but what happened is that he got really creative because he couldn't do some of his really fancy stuff. He could still do a lot of fancy stuff, and he started being really creative. So in the end, it worked out. But for me, it's also too pointy.
Yeah.
So it needs some time. You need to play like for 10 hours so then they're perfect.
Yeah.
So if Wegen would make this pick with a little bit of a round edge, which you could probably do,
like more of this shape, like a more teardrop shape or something.
And then they're perfect.
Yeah.
Actually. And then
and then for the record, this pick was on a white cushion, and that's why Stochelo couldn't find it.
Yeah, that's true.
He lost it because it was on a white cushion. So then maybe in some instances, actually, the white pick is the bad color.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would say because you can buy them in black and white, and I would always buy them in white, even though the black was cooler, but you lose them. But this was the only case.
It's the only case.
They were on white. Yeah. So great pick, but not my number 1. So let's get to our number 1.
Okay, so now we're getting to the number 1 pick, our favorite pick. So what's your number 1 pick?
So my number 1 pick
What's your number 1 pick of picks?
is again a Dunlop, and it's this like green pick. It's like a little. It's a gator grip. There's a drawing of a little dinosaur on the front. And there's an alligator on the front. It's the same. It's a little brother of the black one, right? The 2 millimeter. It's just 1.5 millimeter. And the funny thing is that I used to play with the black one for a long time. But then I was at a jam or something, and I didn't have the black pick with me, and there was someone else with the green pick. It's like, it's too thin. But then I played it, and I noticed that when there was like 3 other guitars playing rhythm, this pick cuts through the mix because the sound it produces from the guitar is just a little brighter. Yeah. So when you play alone, you might think, it's a little too thin because the black one produces a warmer, rounder sound. But in a jam with other guitar players, this pick cuts through the mix. Yeah. So exactly. This is my favorite pick. Has been now for a while, and I don't see myself changing really quickly. So what's your number 1?
Okay, so my number 1 pick is this green Dunlop 1.5 millimeter. It's got a dinosaur on it. It's an alligator. It's like the little brother of the black. But anyways, this is also my favorite pick. And you're actually the one that convinced me to switch from the 2 millimeter to the 1.5 millimeter. And the reason is actually, something interesting to talk about is because my guitar specifically is kind of mellow. It doesn't have a lot of attack. Whereas a lot of Gypsy Jazz guitars have a lot of attack. So for me, I had that same problem. It doesn't really cut through as much. And I wanted more attack and more treble. And so I made this switch to this thicker, it's like a more picky pick, so you get it when you cut through more with this. And it's such a small difference, but it really makes a difference in sound. So
It does, yeah.
yeah, so for me it was perfect. So now it brings out a better quality in my guitar that I like. So it's one of those things where for my specific guitar, my style of playing, this pick was, even though it's a small difference, much better.
You want to know the best thing about the pick? You can buy 72 of those. 72. 72.
Not 27.
For 20 euros.
Yeah.
Or $20 probably.
Yeah.
72 of those.
That's like, you can buy half of one blue chip
So
with that.
it got to the point that when I can't find them, I just pick a new one. I'm not even going to look for it.
Yeah, you can even open a bag and just scatter all over your house.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I do actually. I have 5 here and 5 in another room, so wherever I am, there's this green pick.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good idea.
So, those were our 5
Those
top
were our top
5s.
yeah, exactly.
Let's do some closing thoughts.
Yeah, perfect.
So this was our top 5 picks, or 10 picks, or there are some crossovers, but still, I think from my personal observation of these top 5s, I'm pretty safe to say that Dunlop actually makes the best picks. It's the biggest pick manufacturer and has the biggest variety of picks, so those picks are the cheapest and the best actually. So all the expensive picks are great, but in the end, might be worth investing $20 to get 72 of those picks.
Big factory
ones,
you know. And my closing thought is that, of course picks matter, but of course the individual player matters the most. And what might be the best pick for one person might not be the best pick for another person, because again, it depends on your style, it depends on what guitar you have.
Yeah.
If I had a brighter guitar, maybe I would, want a more mellow pick.
So we'll see you again at the future top 10.
Yeah.
Later.